to breathe. Anchor. Realize. Realize. The real I. What is the real I, right? What does it mean to realize? Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to Ascension Inspiration. It is 1 o'clock on the zeros here in the City of Angels. If you want to say hello, and then many of you click on and go, what is Jason Michael Powers doing? Or, oh my gosh, what is that gray-haired man doing? I'm going to talk a little bit for roughly 44 minutes to possibly an hour, depends. And it's called Ascension Inspiration. And it's a reading of a book that I've been reading for the past, this is episode 11. And we're going to read chapter 10. Week 1 was a reading of the foreword of this book. It's been a really dear book to my heart. And it's called Ascension, the Dossier on the Ascension, by an ascended master, Serapis. Serapis. But I'm going to show you something here. Look at that. In the Great Pyramid, a council of brotherhood and sisterhood around a flame. What is this flame? What is this fire? There is no mistake that in many spiritual paths, fire is mentioned. There's a flame, there's a fiery aspect. So much so that Moses, when he saw God, what did he see? He saw a flaming, burning bush. And it said, I am that I am. So the flame is something to understand. I read something today that was sent to us in a discourse, and I just want to extract this one bit because it really hit me. And this is from a transmission, and it said, then further the tremendous need of the hours, such beloved ones, that we wish to bring forth certain understanding of the sacred fire, which, if it can be incorporated into the consciousness and the body of our world, it will be a transforming activity and prepare you to be a manifest example of our love. And who's our love? It's the Christ love. It's the heavenly love. It's the heavenly realms, right? Then from that heart, the word may go forth to bless the rest of human life everywhere. So it's important that we understand this fire, this flame. And I put this quote, and this is really the catalyst for why I do what I do, why I've been going live. Sir William Bueller said, we have no other more demanding tasks as souls in a cosmic race than to facilitate ascension. And so, before we even get really into this, I'd like to recite, I've done this every so often. Let me fix the camera here. Before I go into this prayer, I just want to greet you and say hello. I know that some of you may watch for a little bit and may come back, and that's okay. You know, my intention, as well as my beloved Heather, who's here for a bit, our intention is to reveal God, reveal that which is called God, which is love, beauty, peace, poise, power, wisdom, prosperity, health. To be a chalice, a cup of the grace of God, and to be an emanation of that, to extend forward, to be a teacher of wisdom that's been given. You know, yesterday in prayer, I was praying in gratitude for all the teachers and all the teachings that I've accumulated over my lifetime and lifetimes, that I would not be who I am today without all my teachers. And I say that because we just had what is called Guru Purnima. And I love that. You know, Heather and I, you can't categorize us in one path. We are Christian, we are Buddhist, we are Muslim, we are Hindu, we are shamans, we are God. And God is all of it. There is no part in any religion where I am not. I am all of that. And so are you. And so when we we tune in to the similarities in that place, you find truth. And I'm grateful for all the truth. But Guru Purnima in the Hindu and Buddhist faith is a time to honor your teachers, to honor your guru. So much so there are people who have a physical guru, and maybe that's you and maybe that's not you. Maybe you have a hard time honoring a teacher or somebody, or maybe you don't. I ain't got no teacher, I'm my own guru. And yes, you are. And yes, you are. There is that inner wisdom that we need to honor. And then there's that place where it's good for us to have a mentor. We've been really listening to Russell Brand a lot lately. He wrote a book called Mentors. In the program of recovery, it's good to have a sponsor. In spiritual awakening and spiritual growth, it's good to have teachers and mentors and gurus. And so just honoring all of them. And I honor the teacher here today, which is Serapis Bay. I honor all my teachers in the unseen realms: Jesus the Christ, Mary Magdalene, Mother Mary, Archangel Michael and Lady Faith, Saint Germain and Lady Portia, El Moira, Buddha, Quan Chi Yin, Pusa, Joakul, and the Elohim, especially right now, Purity and Estrella. And these are maybe some names that you're not familiar with, and maybe you are, but I honor them in this presence. And I honor the angelic host that surrounds me, surrounds you. The seraphim, the cherubim. But we each have a unique team, right, around us. As I heard one time, it was we have our inner 12, our council of 12 in the inner realms, and then we have our outer 12, which is generally those people, those human beings that sit on a seat around your heart and your soul and your mind. And sometimes those chairs, those positions need to shift in the outer and sometimes in the inner. But what is Ascension Inspiration? Welcome to it. It's a reading of this book that I'm about to read. It's a language that maybe you're understanding and maybe you won't, but there will be something that you'll find, because we are in an ascension. And what is ascension? I always like to begin with this. Ascension, by definition, is the path of those who are choosing to consciously step into a higher level of light. It's a personal choice to boldly step into the unknown in order to expand into an experience that is entirely new. Ascension is actively choosing to evolve into a higher consciousness. Ascension is merging with your higher self, opening your heart, and expanding to reunite with Source, Christ light, Buddha light, Atman light. Whatever you want to call that source of all that is, you are merging with that. And so ascension is rising, it's wakening up to something greater than your human carnal 3D mindset, letting go of the debris. And there's art and there's a spiritual technologies that we do, and it has to do with the flame. But this is what this is, and we are in an ascension process. Humanity is in an ascension process. Mother Gaia is in an ascension process. And many of you souls are here. We all volunteered to say, we're going to be here on this timeline, in this moment in cosmic, galactic history. It's quite an experiment, this free will experiment. And some of us are awakening, and some of us are remembering, and some of us are still sleepy. Some of us are stuck, some of us are free, some of us are in different places. So this message will hit different places. You may find this amusing to you. You may find this inspiring to you. You might find this challenging to you. I'm not sure, but I'm not attached to that. What I am attached to is opening my heart and reading this book and allowing what wants to come through. And so before I begin, one of the prayers that I like to say every day is the Keeper of the Flame. It's a Keeper of the Flame daily prayer. And so I speak this to invoke this space, to call this flame to be active in our presence and in my voice and in everything that we're doing here. Surrounding ourselves, not with a flame that's going to hurt you, a flame that's going to help you. This is the fire of God, and God is love. So this flame is love. It's intelligent love. And a flame is active. A flame is vital. A flame is eternal. I am a God flame. We are a God flame of pure, radiant love from the very heart of the God in the great central sun. Descending from the Master of Life, I am charged now with beloved Helios and Vestas, supreme God consciousness and solar awareness. Pilgrim upon the earth, I am walking daily the way of the ascended Master's victory, which leads to my eternal freedom. And by the power of the sacred fire, this day and always continually made manifest in my thoughts and my feelings and my immediate awareness, transcending and transmuting all the elements of earth within my 4 lower bodies, and freeing me by the power of the sacred fire from those misqualified foci of energy within my being. I am set free here and now from all that binds by and through the currents of the divine flame of the sacred fire itself, whose ascending action makes me God in manifestation, God in action, God by direction, and God in consciousness. I am an active flame. I am a vital flame. I am an eternal flame. I am an expanding fire spark from the great central sun, drawing to me now every ray of divine energy which I need and which can never be requalified by the human, and flooding me with the light and God illumination of 1,000 suns to take dominion and rule supreme forever, everywhere I am. Where I am, God is there also. Unseparated forever I remain, increasing my light by the smile of his radiance, the fullness of his love, the omniscience of his wisdom, and by the power of his life eternal, which automatically raises me on ascension's wings of victory, that shall return me to the heart of God, from whence in truth I am come to do God's will and manifest abundant life to all. That is my prayer for this now, for myself and for you, knowing that right where you are, right where I am, God is. We are one love. We are the one love field, all connected, all interconnected, interdependent. And what I understand, you already know. So this is a remembrance. This is a reminder, and welcome to it. All right, let's get right into it. This is chapter 10, called Memory and Residual Magnetism. Starts off with a quote. Unto you who will remain with me, to be God taught, I say, watch and see how we shall burn up the shroud of error and the residual magnetism of death by the living consciousness of the Ascension Flame. Once again, this is the Dossier on the Ascension by Serapis Bey, Chohan of the 4th ray. In the rays of the 7 rays, this is in the Elohim, it's the white ray. It's purity. It's all about purity. Purifying. This flame is a purifying flame. Serapis Bey is known as the disciplinarian, so his language in here may seem a little direct, but we welcome direct, right? At some level. We want somebody to be straight up honest with us, all right? Thank you, Jennifer. Come back and watch again. Thank you for being here. And if you have any questions throughout this time, don't hesitate to say something. I'll stop, and if I can answer it, I'll do my best. If you want to just say hello, you just want to hang out, it's all good. Chapter 10, here we go. I would deal now with old residual magnetism. The law of gravity, beloved ones, keeps your bodies attached to the ground for a purpose. Likewise, all the components of natural law, wonderful as they are overflowing with infinite purpose. Jennifer, the book is called Dossier on the Ascension by Serapis Bey. It's a little tiny book, but it is packed. Hello, Alice. So let me begin again. I would deal now with old residual magnetism. Just to start off, in your being, you are, just by the nature of who you are, you're not a flesh body. That's just, you may think that you're just a flesh body, but you're more than that. What's made your body is what's made all life. It is the essence of the Alpha and the Omega, the God principle, the God particle. which is electromagnetism. Electric being the father principle, and magnetism being the mother principle, the omega principle. And so by nature, you're an electric magnetic field. And electricity usually generally is the thoughts. Magnetism is the heart. Okay? This is just your basic blueprint of who you and what you are. You're an electromagnetic being. And so in your field is magnetism. And so Serapis says the law of gravity, beloved ones, keeps your bodies attached to the ground for a purpose. Likewise, all the components of natural law, wonderful as they are overflowing with infinite purpose. The depth of the wisdom of God, when contemplated even in part, can evoke squeals of joy even as a small child, putting his feet into the cold water of a mountain stream, responds with happiness and delight. When you hear the wisdom of God, does it bring that joy, that squeal of... That's the wisdom of God. It's just interesting that he would say that, right? When we can contemplate the wisdom of God. The wisdom of God that has put your body together. That's put the cosmos together, the solar system, the Milky Way, the galaxy, how everything functions. This wisdom of God. Does it bring squeals of joy as a child putting his feet into the cold water of a mountain stream? The law is most impersonal, blessed ones, as it expresses in nature. A part of nature is the faculty of memory. For example, thorns did not surround the rose in the early days of the earth. Certain destructive activity on the part of mankind resulted in the outpicturing by the tiny elementals of what men have called protective barbs. And thus long, sharp thorns were created as mankind's fears and doubts were etched on nature's memory and then lowered into the physical octave. Religion in the main has supposed that God has created all things that are in existence. However, mankind have not taken into account the influence of their own thoughts and feelings in the acts of creation which occur daily within their own domain. Indeed, man was given dominion over the whole earth. But they have not reckoned with the concept of free will or with the longevity of the life waves who have inhabited the earth, supposing the span of the earth's existence as it correlates with history and civilization to cover a little bit more than 5,000 years. The many evolutions who have inhabited the earth have had ample time to change many of the outer conditions of nature and to bring forth from universal life patterns which were never a part of the original creation. The race memory and the memory of nature is divided and subdivided and again into such minutiae of manifestation as to put to shame the minds of the greatest scientists. We who see from the inner behold sublayer after sublayer of the creation that has not yet been split by the sharp blade of man's penetration. There is the memory of the individual to consider, the memory of self, names, faces, places, concepts, recepts, and precepts. But there's also another type of memory with which we are concerned. Omar Khayyam wrote, "The moving finger writes, and having writ, moves on. Nor all your piety nor wit shall lure it back to cancel half a line, nor all your tears wash out a word of it." Of men's acts and thoughts, this may be said, that they are all recorded, each one. Every subtle shade, every nuance of meaning finds its way into the storehouse of the subconscious memory. These are literally interred with the bones of man, and they survive transition after transition. Each time man re-embodies, they come with him again, composing his life record. And so what is Serapis talking about here? He's talking about the Akash, the memory that we hold that is part of our lifetime here. It's part of our lifetimes prior. It's part of our ancestral lineage. There's the hall of records, they call it. And so there's this memory that is etched And we're creating these memories continuously by what we choose to do today and tomorrow. What we think, what we feel, these emotions, these emotional driven actions, they create memory in the hall of records. You know? When the life-giving accuracy of this record is pondered for a moment and the effect of beautiful thoughts is considered with the heart, the need to rise to angelic levels of perception ought to occur to many. Why should men live in the dark, dank cellars of their human creation? Why should the subconscious knowledge that men have stored about themselves be tumbled out upon psychiatric couches? Is this what we may call therapeutics? Or is it the purification of old ideas disgorging themselves upon the consciousness of the present-day man? The panacea that men crave, if one can justly be said to exist, is within the domain of the same memory that holds the thoughts of negation. The world has filled almost to capacity with the sordid nature of the carnal man. Now let them learn, if they would ascend, to eradicate this image by filling the folds of memory with the soft, gentle, beautiful ideas of the resurrection and resurrection's flame. What are we remembering? What are we recalling? You know, sometimes, and I've heard it said by my dear brother Michael Fox, he talks about these ancient memory recalls. You know, you've seen it in your dream time. You might have images, or maybe in your meditations, you get these memories. You know, I remember significantly, I was on a movie set working, and I was reading the Da Vinci Code when it first came out, and I just had this flash, this memory. And it was so real and tangible. You know, of a time when I was a Templar. Okay? This was a memory, wasn't mine, but I remember being, it all was like, it was flashing, like, oh my God, I physically can feel this. You know, there's these memories that we have, and even in this lifetime, we tell our stories. Who am I? What am I? This is who I am. You know, I was born a bastard. I was born without my mother and father being married, and I didn't meet my father again for the first time until I was 10, and saw him again at 16, and saw him again at 23, and we did a DNA test when I was 40, and da-da-da. This is a story. These are the memories, and we regurgitate them. But are we understanding that there's something beyond, that there's a pure, untapped, untarnished memory of who and what you are? Your eternal memory, that unbroken divinity that is not affected by the conditions. But because we keep talking about these things, we keep regurgitating the same memories, we go on these counselors' couches, we start talking about our stories, and we have feelings and we have thoughts about these things, and these thoughts and feelings are what create, and Serapis was saying, the thorns. We create barriers and boundaries around our heart, and so it's hard to get to us, it's hard to love us, because we have stories and memories of being hurt, of being betrayed, of being abused, of being not valued. Nature has provided beautiful imagery as environment all over the world, and those who are perceptive to it can respond to it today in the very face of all human misqualification that's gone before. The greatest boons to the ascension are the immaculate concepts of God. His concepts about everything were benign, and thus he said, by the power of the living word, all that I have made is good. And that's you. You are good. No matter what mistake you have made, no matter what mistakes you keep making. And mistakes are what the church has taught, has branded you a sinner. And that's the Antichrist in truth. You're not a sinner. You're a free will being who's been given a free will choice to choose your own adventure, to choose to rebel, to resist, to disobey your own God presence, to turn away from love, to turn towards fear every moment, every thought, every day. Your choice. But you are the chooser, and as a chooser you are good no matter what you choose. You have effects of your choices that you have to reap, that we all reaping, and we're reaping them on this planet. We're reaping our effects. We are creating our world most unconsciously based on the premise of separation, that we're separate from each other, that we need to compete against each other, we need to conquer each other, we need to colonize each other. This is an old paradigm, an old way of being that is dying out. Thank God. We're coming into a new age, the golden age. We're returning from the Kali Yuga. We're on it. It's going to take a while, but we're moving in that direction. Consider, beloved ones, the meaning of discipline of thought that demands the immaculate concept about every part of life and refuses acceptance of the pattern of error that as residual magnetism cling to the consciousness of mankind as a shroud. I'm reminded of how Jesus was able to do the miraculous healings he was able to do. He did not see the error. He did not see a struggling, he didn't see a dead person when he saw Lazarus. He saw life. He saw healed beings. He saw the perfection of God, the immaculate concept in all life. And that is our invitation for our own self, for our own finances, for our own friendships. You know, a lot of us are struggling with friendships. Just go, where are my friends? I don't feel like I can have friends, and you feel broken. You feel somewhat oppressed. And that is that emanation. And when you remind yourself, we remind ourselves that we are pure, perfect God beings in our divine innocence. Underneath all the layers of this onion, and when we recall and reconnect to that truth, we light up something inside of us. It's called the threefold flame. We light that up, and it ignites, and it burns all the layers of effluvia, of the shadow atomic structures around our body. All our bodies, mental, emotional, physical, etheric bodies. This is how Jesus, the greatest healer, was able to heal. He saw perfection. He didn't see error. We shall see as we proceed, as I say to those who will remain with me to be God-taught, how we shall burn this shroud and consume it to ashes. We shall see how God shall transmute and change carnal purpose into the splendid manifestation of the living light of his presence. We shall watch as men and women today, in emulation of the Christ majesty that rides forth to give a new sense of victory to mankind, shall be born again, even through the study and application of this dossier that comes from the living, flaming consciousness of the Ascension Flame. We must be practical men when we deal with these problems. This isn't woo-woo. This is really practical. When you're working with the fire of God, when you're working with, this is a spiritual technology that is a technology to awaken something inside, to spark. There's this brand new game. I'm blown away by it. It just got uploaded. It's called Sky, Children of the Light. And it can be on your phone, on your iPad, I believe on your computer. Get it, okay? And there's a great game that my son and I played called Journey. And it's this quiet, you're like this little monk, there's pyramids, it's the hero's journey story. But in this new game I was playing last night, I was playing that you're like this little being. You start off and you hear the story, and you see the stories of the fallen stars that have come into the earth, and to bring back the stars back home, to bring back the little lights. And in the game there's these little kind of shadowy creatures. that you have an opportunity to take your flame, your candle, and light their flame. And they come alive. They're no longer gray and dull. They're alive and vibrant. That's just one part of this game. And that's what I'm doing here. As a flame, I am a living flame of God. And so are you. So are you. Inside you is that flame. And when we recognize and reconnect to that truth, it radiates, it magnetizes. It magnetizes people, places, and conditions and situations that are aligning with your intention, your thoughts. What are you thinking? What are you feeling? This is truth. This isn't some woo understanding. We can deal practically. We ourselves cannot possibly be ostriches, even though our consciousness is in the clouds of the immaculate glory of God. In order to serve mankind, we must meet you at that level where you are and point the way toward your emancipation. The future is what you make it, even as the present is what you have made it. If you do not like it, God has provided a way for you to change it, and the way is through the acceptance of the currents of the Ascension Flame. I'm going to read this again. The future is what you make it. It is done unto you as you say it is so. If what I'm saying to you, you think is bullshit, and so it is. And I don't care. I don't. What I know is that there's a power for good in the universe. It's living within you. It is you. It responds to your feelings and your thoughts, and to the currents of the Ascension Flame. The future is what you make it, even as the present is what you've made it. If you do not like what you're seeing, if you do not like what you're feeling, if you do not like what the creation, God has not done something to you. God has done something through you as you. And if you don't like it, you get to choose again. You have the freedom of choice to choose your adventure, to go, look, I'm going to do something different. I'm going to feel something different. I'm going to decide today to take captive of my thoughts and my feelings and know the truth that I'm good. I'm not a sinner. I'm a God being. I'm full of love. And I'm going to choose by that law of love, of one love. When more of us choose that consciously and in respect to all the other God choosers, we will experience a shift on this planet unlike anything we've ever had. And that is what's going to happen. It is happening, and it's going to continue. We're in a very auspicious window of time, family. We are in the wave. And it was a couple days ago, I was watching a megapod of dolphins. Just, we are riding. And there's many of us that are communing and singing the songs of the ancient songs, the ancient future. We are recollecting, we are reorganizing. We're finding our tribe, we're finding our family, we're finding our soul stream. We're finding our star nation family. And we're remembering that we are guardians and custodians of each other and this planet. And we are not consumers. We are not competitors. We are connectors. Cause, effect, record, and memory of all that is incomplete, of all that is darkness, of all that is intransient must be willfully abandoned by the soul who aspires to the freedom of the ascended state. Cause, effect, record, and memory of all that is incomplete, of all that is darkness, of all that is intransient must be willfully abandoned by the soul who aspires to the freedom of the ascended state. If you are content merely to wallow in episodes of your personal history, to seek for an intrapsychic declaration of your past records, you can have it by pursuing it diligently enough. But it will only be a conglomeration of banal circumstances from which, like a bad dream, you will one day seek to escape. or it will become an astral lure as pretty trinkets and sparkling baubles to distract you from the track that leads to your mortal freedom. There's a pathway out of this matrix, everybody, and it's not regurgitating, retelling your stories of this lifetime, or whatever lifetime. Just a personal intimate share. A long time ago, I remember I was having trouble speaking my voice. I was really troubled with letting the voice with my own presence, the God presence within, speak truth. Or even to speak up. I was in radio, and I remember I was working as an intern for a radio station out here in Los Angeles, K-Earth 101. And Robert W. Morgan, he was this guy, and he screamed at me because I couldn't speak up. I could hear the rumble in my own. I've got a deep voice and I could feel it, but I was afraid to really speak up. I was really afraid to use my voice, and I came to an ancient memory a long time ago that I believe, not attached to this belief, but that in ancient Atlantis, during the Atlantean Lemuria decline of civilization, that my soul was part of an activation of a sound weapon, that actually my voice would speak and create destruction. Now that's a story, and that's a truth, because our words create or destroy. They create our life or they destroy our life. We can destroy a relationship with one sentence. We can create love. We can create a child with a sentence. We can create our life by affirmations. We can destroy our life. We can destroy this planet. We can destroy each other by the sound of our words. But what stories, what are you speaking? What are you posting up on Facebook? What are you regurgitating? What are you looking at? What are you speaking about? Is it fear or is it love? Very simple. It's not complicated. But we're remembering who we are. We are taking captive of our world as sovereign beings. In order to ascend, you must abandon your past to God. Give it to God. Give it to the flame. A very practical practice, everybody. You've probably heard it. If you're not, in the shamanic practice, they teach you. And I was listening to Russell Brand and Wendy Mandy. Great podcast, by the way, called Skin Deep. And she was talking about her mother would give her this practice of, like, before you go to bed, you've had a bad day, write all the things that really were rotten, that just were bad. This person cut me off, or this happened, and blah, 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 blah. Write it all down. And then throw it away. And then wake up in the morning and write what you're grateful for. But if you've had a series of unfortunate events in your world, and we all have to some level, some of us are going through a breakdown before a breakthrough comes. We're in a holy dismantling, and I call it holy for a very divine purpose, because I've been there, we've been there. Heather and I have been on a journey of dismantling all that is no longer serving divine love over and over, and we're grateful for it. That ashes, that burning, that phoenix rising is a very important process of the spiritual journey. But even then, what are you speaking? Are you speaking gratitude, or are you speaking complaints? Are you speaking fear of the government, of Trump, of what's going on in the world? Are you remembering, no, there's something happening. There's a revolution of consciousness happening. And it's quiet. You can't see it, but it's happening. I guarantee you it's happening. So in order to ascend, to rise, you must abandon your past to God, knowing that He possesses the power by His flame and identity to change all that you have wrought and malintent and confusion into the beauty of the original design, the immaculate concept, which by the power of His love did produce the fruit of eternal goodness. Cast aside illusion then, veil after veil of the personal person, and possess the willingness in the name of Almighty God to change your world. Thereby we shall be able to change the world into a place that will receive the masterful presence of the living Christ in a second coming of such dimension as to produce a race of godly men and women, of God-fearing men and women, of God-loving men and women, of men and women who will build a pyramid of truth upon the plains of the world, which pyramid will stand the test of erosion of time, of mortal acidity, and of human nonsense. The flame must not be lost. It must not be canceled. It must not go out. The flame must be upheld at all costs, and the flame is yours, for God made it so. God gave it to you, and it's yours to light the sphere of your identity that pulsates all around you, to push back the darkness until the glow of reality clears your world of fear, doubt, dishonor, and lack, and provides you with everything that God intends His beloved son and daughter to have. Keep on, valiant ones. Keep on. Lose not sight for a minute of the ultimate goal while keeping your hands upon the moldings of the present. For we shall prevail by unity with God and with one another. With strength itself, we shall overcome, because God wills it so. Your ascension is God's desire for you. In deepest love, I remain, Serapis. It's Ascension Thursday. It's not Sunday. Reverend Jason Michael Powers is giving you a sermon today. I know in my own personal live stream family that there is nothing more important than our ascension. To have the home and to have the wife and to have the health and all that stuff is all beautiful. But there's nothing else in this realm of existence than for myself personally to rise up. And ascend doesn't mean to leave this planet. I'm not looking to leave this planet. This is a beautiful blue jewel. This is the big show. This is the game. This is where we all came for. It's a gorgeous place to live and be and express and come back to remembrance. We have been given the invitation. Jesus did it 2,000 years ago. A group of souls haven't done it since him. The invitation is there for us. We've been shown the way. We have the teachers, we have the teachings, we have the oral traditions, we have it written on our own heart. Because what I'm speaking here, whether you read this or not, you already know it within your soul. You know that you have to leave your baggage behind. You know you have to press forward. You know that there is something inside you that's greater than your human understanding and human thinking that's calling you forth. And it may lead you to teachers, to churches, to religions, to meditations, to various practices. And all of that is good, and all of that is just a tool to get you to understand, to understand that right where you are, the living power of God is. And it's resourcing you, supporting you, teaching you, initiating you. And it's a flame, it's a fire. And we call upon this fire to blaze away all cause, core, effect, and record and memories of our karmic density. You know, to rise as the hot air balloons as we are, to rise as the human angels that we are, we have to shed our wings. We gotta wash up a little bit. And that is not just water. Water is part of it. But the fire of God, the violet flame, the pure white fire, the white electronic fire they call that. This is an important flame, the Ascension Flame. Learn more about it. Get to know what it is. Pray into it. You know, it has been the game changer for both Heather and I to walk this path that the Ascended Masters have walked before us. And I thank Serapis Bay, and I thank all the light beings that have been here, present now, and the presence of God itself. You know, there is a God inside you, and there is a God outside of you. And the invitation for us is humility. More humility. I posted a little earlier. You know, in certain circles this phrase, I am God. I am God. I am that I am. And so are you. And so is everything. And Jesus knew he was God. He knew he was one with the Father, as he said, the Father, Mother. But there's this sense of humility and surrender where grace and ascension happens. And that is the invitation to my own being in our relationships with each other, that no one of us is greater than the other. We each have a piece of this mosaic of unifying back to our divine innocence, our original immaculate conception. And the last thing I want to present, not to bring fear, but on 7/7 we were told of an interesting prophecy that the day Neil Armstrong walked on the moon, 1969, there were cosmic beings who came into the realms of intelligence. And it's an astral projection of sorts, and I don't buy into all astral projections. I don't buy into psychism. I think astral projections and psychics can see different potentialities, but it's just a potential. And it's a collective of memory. It's a collective of thought forms. And there's a realm beyond the astral realm that we are invited to tune into and not get caught up in the baubles and trinkets, as Serapis was saying earlier, in the astral realm. But in the astral realm, there was an idea that come this Saturday, July 20th, 2019, we had a 50-year window that we were being watched to see what we would do as humanity. And I'm excited to say we're going to go through the eye of the needle. But we're going to do it. We've done it. Victory is assured. It's already happened. It's been demonstrated in many different prophecies in different ways, in different cultures. But I just celebrate us as humanity, awakening to the truth of our reality, our capital reality. It's exciting. And the invocations and the prayers to clear the karmic memory is being done. It's been done. And we are clearing the field. There's many of us who are clearing it in our own self first and foremost. It's not about there going out changing the world. We're doing everything we can to awaken to our God divine presence and choosing acts of love, choosing thoughts of love, choosing to serve instead of looking to get and give me. There are many of us who are wakening up to that, and I am grateful to know that. And so that concludes this time. I believe we're about 48 minutes in, so I pray that this has served you. It's inspired something inside of you. It's activated a remembrance, or it's amused you. Whatever it is, thank you for being here, and thank you for being here now. As Ram Dass would always say, be here.